everyone, and welcome to the OklaRoots YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're taking a bit of a field trip. We're in my office, which is a very, very dark room. It's kind of like the dungeon of my house. And it's where everything is, so it's very crammed in here. But we're in my office because we're doing something a little different. We're not doing a full tutorial today, and we're also not doing a live stream. It is the first Monday of August, 2024, so normally we would do a live stream, but future Jess, who is now present Jess, if you're watching this now, should be at Disney World having a great time with her family. So I decided to do a little kind of behind the scenes video where we're going to play with my industrial machine. So if you're new here, or not even that new, I haven't played with this machine in a while. I have an industrial sewing machine. Now, an industrial sewing machine, I'll put a photo right here. I can't show it to you the way I'd want to because it is very, very cluttered in this room. But I'll put a photo right over here of when it looked very nice in my sewing room. It is a big machine. It is a full, big, heavy-duty sewing machine. It comes with a table and everything like that. It's meant to be used in an industrial way, right? It's meant to work with thick materials and just go. It's nothing fancy. It doesn't have any fancy stitches, doesn't do embroidery, nothing like that. It's just an industrial machine. Its main purpose is power. The model I have is a Juki 1541S. There are a lot of different models out there, and there are a lot of other YouTubers who are using this machine as well as other machines. And so if you're looking for like an expert to guide you through it, you're gonna have to look elsewhere because I am not that person. I have had this machine for a couple of years now, and I have had my problems with it. It is a huge learning curve for me, and I just want to emphasize that the majority of the people I have spoken to who have this machine, I mean, I'm talking pretty much 100% of the other people I have messaged with, spoken to in person, things like that, who have this exact same machine, absolutely adore it. They would sell an organ to keep it. Like, they love this machine. It is their baby. It's their favorite thing to sew on. They would never consider going back to a domestic machine. So, it is not the machine, it is a me thing. However, I have had issues with it, and because it is an industrial machine and it is more mechanical and less digital, it all has to do with pieces. As long as all the little pieces are where they need to be in the machine, it's all going to work perfectly. If one thing is off, it's not. So think about it that way. It's like an old car versus like the new cars. You know what I mean? Okay, so just wanted to get that out there. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to spend a little bit of time every day on my industrial machine to keep the oil running and to see if I come into any problems or anything like that. I have had the pleasure, I purchased this machine from Juki Junkies, and they have been fantastic at emailing, sending me videos, texting, offering to come up here and sit with me and just like watch me for a little bit to see if I'm doing something wrong. They have been wonderful to work with, so I highly encourage you to check them out if you're interested in a machine like this. Also, anytime I've had like a question about this machine, I've Googled like videos, you know, on YouTube on how to do something, how to wind a bobbin and things like that. And their videos always come up and they give you a lot of really wonderful tips that I didn't know, and I'd watched a lot of other videos beforehand. So highly, highly encourage you. If you don't subscribe to Juki Junkies on YouTube, go subscribe to them, especially if you're interested in industrial machines, because they're going to walk you through everything. Okay, so today's video is really just this. It's just going to be me chatting. I'm going to set up a camera right over here so you can get a better view of it actually sewing. I'm dropping everything. Like I said, this is not my filming setup normally, but we're going to give it a try. I am working on a bag, and it is a simple tote bag, and it's using this material right here. Now, I cannot remember the name of this, but I know I'll have a link for it down below, and I'll write it down here. This material is fantastic. It's like, it has like a Oxford kind of canvas feel on the front, and on the back, it's like black plastic, like thick black plastic. It is domestic machine friendly. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. You can use this on a domestic machine, but it is also durable enough to use on an industrial machine. I've already been sewing a couple of like main panels with it, and it's been fine. So just putting it out there that it is industrial and domestic friendly. You know, if you've watched any of my other industrial videos, you know that I'm like, grab the leather, get all the leather, and I want to sew all the thick stuff. But I think that's where I get into trouble, not because the machine can't do it, but because I don't know how to work with leather. So we're going to give this a try, okay? I'm just going to work on this project. This is not a tutorial, and there's not a pattern for this. So this is just kind of a bag idea I'm working on right now. So stay tuned. But yeah, let's try to get this set up, huh? Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not so sure about all the lighting, so if you see these weird lights everywhere, just bear with me, bear with me. Like I said, I'm not gonna walk you through what I'm doing necessarily, but I am going to hang out with you for a little bit. So if you have an industrial machine, let me know. Also, I think I need to get my clip situation worked out, because this is a room that I just use for storage. It's not like a, you know, a room I use to actually make stuff in. So I don't have everything I need here. And I'm trying out all these new things, like these little binder clips I see a lot of industrial sewists use. But like, this is my jar of stuff right here. And I just want to get the plastic clips on the bottom. Come here, you plastic clips. Okay, so I'm doing my best. Hopefully the camera over here on the side is picking up enough for you to see the industrial machine work in action. If not, I apologize. I am doing my best. Today is one of those days where you get what you get. It just is what it is. Okay, so when I'm sewing here, some of the big things I've learned with this machine is that first and foremost, you gotta pull both your threads, top thread and bobbin thread. Hold them when you start sewing. If you let them go while you start sewing, it will jam. It happened to me multiple times. Also, hold them out with your right hand over towards the right. I have all kinds of special things on this machine, like a special face plate that I think it's in 1/8 of an inch, like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think those are like 1/8 of an inch, I think. I don't know. I'll tell you, when you're working on an industrial machine, your stitch length is a little bit different than on a domestic machine. On an industrial machine, you're going to have longer stitches. So for right now, I'm just top stitching, and my stitch length is about a 5.5 millimeter top stitch length. When I'm sewing, I'm usually sewing at like a 4 millimeter sewing length. So that's something that took some getting used to for me. So what I'm doing right now is just top stitching the tops of these edges. This little tote bag I'm working on is a no lining bag. And so I'm trying to see what I have to do to keep it looking neat. And I'll tell you, one of the hardest things for me with this industrial machine is the speed. And honestly, I have it on the slowest speed it can possibly go. There is a dial underneath the machine in the back, and you can adjust it on like how fast it can go. And it cannot go that fast. If I push the pedal all the way down, it's not gonna go super fast. But it's still kind of fast, and it's just, you can feel how powerful the machine is. The machine is so powerful, which can be a little scary because I'm used to my, you know, my Bernina, which is a powerful machine, but it doesn't feel like a powerful machine, you know? It feels manageable. If my machine starts, if I start becoming more comfortable with my machine, the goal is to create more videos on it. I will not have full tutorials on this machine unless it is a tutorial I have already done on the domestic machine. So I know some of you guys get really worried every time I start talking about my industrial machine because you think that we're gonna switch over to an industrial only channel, which we will never do. If I do tutorials on, most of the videos I'm doing are going to be like this on the industrial, where it's just sitting around and chatting and kind of playing with it. If we move on to tutorials on the industrial sewing machine, I promise that those tutorials will have a domestic tutorial already out with it. So I will do a bag that I've already done a tutorial for using my domestic machine. So you have options. I'm never going to limit you guys to just industrial stuff. There are so many other channels out there who just use industrial sewing machines for good reason, because they're great. So you already have those options. I will always stay a domestic machine channel, but you know, this is a tool that I have, and it's a tool that a lot of us have been interested in, so might as well, you know, play with it while I can. Okay, so I'm just folding down the top edges. This is a gusset here. It's going to be the side of the bag. So there are no lining pieces for this. There's just a front, a back, and a gusset. So I'm just building the gusset right now, and then I'm just going to sew it to the front and the back, and then add some binding to it and see how that goes. So just then, I lost my top thread. And I have learned from experience that that is not good. Now I have to figure out how to rethread this thing. One of the things I'm most nervous to do on this machine is change the needle. So that's something on domestic machines. It's pretty easy to change the needle because there's a flat side on the needle and you just have to arrange it so the flat side lines up with what's inside the needle casing. On industrial machines, there's not a flat side. It's all just round and you have to know exactly which way to put it all. So that's a little harder for me because I don't know which way it goes. Okay, I'll make sure it looks okay. All right, let's try top stitching. So some other kind of special things I have on this machine. The presser foot I'm using is a narrow presser foot. I believe the presser foot that comes with the machine is a little bit wider. I think it's like this one here. So the nice thing about this machine is that it has a lot of stuff going on with it. It's very powerful. So you can see this is the presser foot that comes with the machine, and it's just a bit wider, but then there are zipper feet you can get, and you can have it so like with traditional zipper feet, you know, the needle goes on the left or the right. This is just a more narrow foot, so I can kind of use it as a zipper foot and regular foot. I believe this is the face plate that comes with the machine, so you can see that doesn't really have anything on it. So there are options to switch it out with a face plate that has, I've seen some people have it where it has like the eighth of an inch marks, half-inch mark, things like that. Mine just says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think those are all increments of eighth of an inch. When I've measured it out before, they're all increments of eighth of an inch. So like right now I'm doing a 1 inch seam allowance for top stitching, and I'm lining up my material with the number 8. So what I'm doing right now is tying off my top stitching threads. These sides of the material will be covered up by binding in the end, but I don't like backstitching on this machine very much because it scares me. But I also don't like backstitching with top stitching too much, so I'm just tying these off on the very edge of the material so I don't have to worry about them unraveling when the bag is being used. So here's like my front panel, very basic, same material I was just showing you. I'm trying to decide if I want to add a bag tag to it, so here is my bag tag. Maybe I'll add it to the top. No. The thing is that there's no way I'm going to be able to keep this straight. But I think I do want to add a bag tag to it. So I'm just going to fold the material because I don't have a good marking tool for this. I've got some double-sided tape here though. My favorite double-sided tape comes from Weft and Warp. And it comes in this beautiful little bag. These scissors are really heavy. I really need to bring some other sewing tools in here. Because really, I just put all my extras in here. So I'm going to use a ruler. Fun sparkly ruler. A little hard to see through, but it is pretty. I'm going to use my ruler to help me line up my bag tag. Hopefully it's straight. Not very straight. As straight as it's going to get for me, I guess. Okay, so now I'm going to try to grab these threads. It's always hard when it's like in the middle like this. I'm going to lower my presser foot or lower my needle where I want it. So this is another thing I'm kind of testing out is using it for more intricate top stitching. Because it's great with, you know, big stuff. But right now we're just trying small stuff. It's gonna take a lot of practice. I'm a little nervous now, guys. The problem I've had most often with this machine is the thread just breaking and me not really knowing wondering why the thread is breaking. So hopefully we're all good. But one thing I have noticed oftentimes when the thread just kind of seems to randomly break, shortly after that the machine will lock up because something got knocked out of place. So I think they're related. I think the problem is related, but I don't know the cause, which is what we're trying to figure out right now, is if there is something out of place on my machine that's making it not behave. We'll see. Okay, let's see how that top stitching looks. What do you think? Looks pretty good, right? I'm gonna try to cover my face so it focuses on it. Looks pretty good. Mostly straight. If you can get the top stitching figured out on this thing, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's just hard to figure out. So now I'm going to try to attach my binding. So I'm doing these, I'm actually going to do these wrong sides together. That's right, that's my idea. I'm doing it wrong sides together, and then we're just going to bind the edges instead of right sides together and flipping it out. We're not going to do that. So this material has absolutely no stretch to it whatsoever, so this is going to be interesting. But we're just trying out all kinds of things today. We're trying out a pattern idea, we're trying out the machine, we're trying out my patience with the machine, we're trying out lighting in the dungeon of my house. Alright, I got my gusset clipped onto my bag. They are different colors, so if you're like, that doesn't look right, they're different colors. I'm trying something here, guys. I'm trying something. Not all ideas are the best ideas. I'm going to change my stitch length to a 4mm stitch length. And I'm going to try to sew this on. I think I'm going to sew it at about a... where's my binding? Hold on. How big is my binding? So I'm using this binding that actually goes with this material. It matches it perfectly, but it's about 1 inch wide. So I'll do a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to backstitch. So wish me luck. that worked out pretty well actually, so that's good. It will definitely take some practice with curves. This machine, again, the machine's just so powerful that it like moves everything. So I'm gonna have to practice with the curves, but I feel like it looks good. It looks good. The curves are pretty good. So here it is so far. It's just a very, very, very basic tote, but I have some fun ideas for this bag. And you start small. You start with the basic. That's one of the things I've kind of learned with like pattern design or like just projects, honestly, is like start with the most bland, basic groundwork of your idea and make sure that's good first. Then embellish. Then add all the bling, all the extras that make it so fancy. You know what I mean? But start with the base first. Make sure that works. Once you're good with that, then you can have a lot of fun. So I'm just going to attach the back panel the same way I attached the front panel. And these materials are wrong sides together, and that's the design I'm looking for. Even if I did change this, so like if I wanted to use vinyl for this idea, I could definitely do that. I would just baste on the lining onto the other side so that both sides are right sides. And then I would just do this exact same thing. So my fear right now is that my bobbin is going to run out. And that's the thing, you don't have like a sensor on here. A lot of machines don't, but that's kind of like a Bernina luxury, is that on my Bernina, it lets me know, hey, your bobbin's getting low. Like it doesn't tell you, it tells you when it's out, but it also tells you like, hey, it's getting low. So, you know, be prepared, your bobbin's gonna run out soon, which is I've gotten spoiled with that. I've become very spoiled with that. So on this one, I know there's gonna be so many times where I'm gonna wanna just cry. They'll think I'm done, and nope, bobbin ran out a long time ago. But I have another bobbin wound. However, I don't think it wound correctly because it's kind of a mess. So I don't think I'm gonna use this one. I don't know, we'll see. I did the thing where like I left the bobbin on the machine and just let it wind while I was sewing, but somehow the thread got like behind the disc that holds the bobbin in place, and I didn't know. And so last night I spent a lot of time getting a rat's nest out of the bobbin winding area. So, all right, I'm gonna do what I just did. Sewing at a 3/8 inch seam allowance around the edge. Okay, so that one was pretty easy. Okay, so here's our bag currently. I might have to trim down some of these corners because I think my seam allowance got a little big. You see, it's just a nice big tote bag. I'm wondering if I can iron the crinkles out of it. We'll see. We'll see. But don't worry about the material. Now I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the seam allowance on the corners to see if I need to trim it down. So this binding is so interesting because if you look, if I take the paper, it has a paper back on it because it is an adhesive binding, but it is the exact same material as the material I'm using. It is the exact same stuff, the same type of backing, except it has an adhesive on the back. And I have worked with it on my domestic machine and the adhesive was not too much for it. So again, this is a domestic friendly material. But also it's nice and beefy, so I figure it's going to be great on an industrial. So right now I'm just folding it in half, and that just makes it easier for me to wrap it around my edge. Okay, so I'm going to fold down the top edge by just like 1/2 inch. And that way I don't have any like raw edge on the top. And then I'm just going to wrap it around my seam. And if it doesn't stick enough with the adhesive, then use clips too. I don't know why I'm talking like it's a tutorial. You don't even know what I'm doing. There's just a general rule. if you have adhesive binding and it's not sticking and you're like, why? It's supposed to be an adhesive. It's okay, it happens. Just use clips. The adhesive still helps. Sometimes you just gotta use both. Okay, I have my binding clipped in place, and look at this binding. Isn't this cool? Look at this. You can't even see it. It's binding. On this side you can because it's a different color. Isn't that neat though? I'm so excited to play with this. This is a great project for this material. Okay, so now I'm gonna change to a top stitching, and I'm gonna try to make sure you guys can see on the camera, and you can also not get knocked off. So I'm changing to a 5.5 millimeter stitch length for top stitching, and I'm gonna top stitch at about 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, unless I feel like I'm not catching the edge. Then I'm gonna switch it down to like a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or just under a 3/8 inch. Because we want to make sure we catch the edge. Kind of wish I was top stitching from the other side, so I can actually see the material. It blends in perfectly with that gusset. But I'm catching it, it looks like, so that's good. Some things I have to remember to do is, like, the needle doesn't always stop in the down position. Sometimes the needle stops in the up position, and if I lift the presser foot to kind of go around these corners, my whole bag will come out from the machine, which is not what I want. I've had people suggest there's ways to keep it so that the needle is always down, but I haven't been able to get any of those things to work. So when I need it to make sure it's down, I just use the hand crank and hand crank it down. And I'm just scrunching up my bag a whole bunch while I'm sewing this to keep it out of the camera's way. You don't need to do that. You can keep your bag pretty flat while you do this. I just have the camera right next to the needle. And I'm trying not to hit the camera, and I'm trying not to block the shot either, which I'm pretty sure I'm doing both those things. Pretty sure I keep hitting the camera and I'm blocking the shot. But we do what we can. We do the best we can. This is what it is. Alright. I'm pretty happy right now. I might have just jinxed myself, but I'm pretty pleased with how things are going currently. So that's good. 'Cause I'm not crying, which unfortunately I've spent many tears at this machine. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Should make sure I caught the back. It looks like I did for the most part. It could be better, but that's okay. So you see the side here? You can't even see that binding. Isn't that crazy? And then on the front you can see it, which I like the contrast. That's what I was going for, just like a subtle contrast. But it looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to repeat that with the other side. I don't need to show you guys that because it's the same thing as this. But I'm going to repeat that with the other side, and then I will meet you back. Guys, we sewed a whole bag. I sewed. You weren't here for the beginning. I sewed a whole bag from beginning to end without my machine locking up on me. That is huge. That is huge. Now I'm already putting together a shopping cart in my head of all the accessories I want to buy to go with this machine. There is so much I want to learn how to do on this machine. So much. But again, starting simple. So now I'm just going to melt down the ends of these threads. I think there's another device I've seen people using so that they don't have to use a lighter. I don't know what it is though. I need to look into that. Definitely gonna have to play with the seam allowance on this project, but I think it'll be good. You guys see it? Isn't it cute? It's a nice little, super simple tote bag. Easy to keep clean and wipe down. I think there's a lot of fun I can have with this. I think I'm gonna add maybe like a little snap to the top. But yeah, guys, it worked. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I actually made something on my industrial machine. I could cry now. I feel like I've spent so much time crying because I couldn't get it to work. And now I'm gonna cry because it is working. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. So I hope that this was entertaining. I don't know how informative it was, but I hope it's entertaining. And I hope that, I don't know, it's hopeful. I am a very stubborn person, an extremely stubborn person. If I want something to happen, I am the type of person that will usually make it happen, which can be great in some ways, but can also be very frustrating because you don't know when to quit. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that I have gotten to a point where I really felt like I needed to quit and just like give up on this machine. And I feel like I did give up a lot on this machine and just spent months ignoring it. But thankfully, so many people on Instagram and Facebook have messaged me, emailed me. So many people on YouTube have commented suggestions. Juki Junkies I've talked to many people over at Juki Junkies who have been nothing but helpful and offered me every single way to fix it or replace it or exchange it, things like that. Like I've never felt abandoned with this. I've just felt kind of hopeless because of my skill set. I just always felt like I was doing something wrong. And maybe I was, maybe it was. I think it was partially me, partially the machine. I think it's a combination. Relationship takes two, and I think we both weren't being our best. But I think we're going to be okay. I think Beastie and I are going to be okay, hopefully. We're going to be fine. We're going to make some amazing bags. So thank you so much for sewing with me today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure you give the video a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you click subscribe. If you want to see more stuff on the industrial machine, leave a comment down below. Let me know. Again, don't worry. We are not turning into an industrial machine tutorial channel. We're not going to do that. Like I said, there will always be the domestic. My Bernina is a domestic sewing machine. There will always be the domestic machine that we do the full tutorials on. But we can also have some fun on here just to kind of see what things we can make on this machine that maybe we can't make on the Bernina or would be very challenging to make on the Bernina. I hope you're having a great day. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Get out there and make something. Bye, guys.